Now, let's talk timing for a moment. It tells you that he is, in verse 4, he says, after telling you that his whole soul hungered, he's no longer hunting for beasts, he's hunting for that natural man beast inside. I kneeled down before my Maker, and I cried unto him in mighty prayer and supplication for mine own soul. And all the day long did I cry unto him, and yea, when the night came, I did still raise my voice high that it reached the heavens. Often this will happen where here's a timeline, and time is ticking forward, and these might be minutes, they might be hours, they might be weeks, months, or years. Here's the point. Enos's heart is soft. His soul is hungering. He is desiring, he wants nothing more. But God doesn't give him the answer there. Why? God doesn't give him the answer in mid-morning. He doesn't give him the answer at noon. He doesn't give him the answer in the early afternoon. He's probably up and hunting, praying, hunting. He's wrestling and wrestling and wrestling. And God is not giving him the answer at these points. The question is, why? Why delay the answer until the end of the day? Stop and think about it. The answer, when it comes here after this long, drawn-out wrestle, how does Enos feel about the answer here compared to if he had just gotten a quick answer here? If he kneels down first thing in the morning when the thought first crosses his mind and the Lord fills his soul with this sweet forgiveness, it's going to be sweet. There's no question about it. But based on my own experience of sometimes having to wrestle and wrestle and wrestle and wrestle, long past when I thought it was reasonable, makes the answer incredibly beautiful. Just really briefly, years ago, 10 years ago, when my family and I had the opportunity to move from Logan to Provo, from teaching at the Institute up at Utah State to now transfer down back in 2010 to the Department of Ancient Scripture at BYU. We got that answer pretty clearly as a family, collectively, all of us, that we needed to make that move. And that answer came in January of 2010, knowing that we would have to be there for fall semester of 2010 in August. And we set everything in place to sell the house. We priced it right according to a couple of realtors. We fixed it up. Everything was good. And that home did not sell in March or April like we had anticipated and everybody had promised us. We lowered the price again. It didn't sell in June. Lowered it, did more fix-up. It didn't sell in July. It didn't sell in the first part of August. And I thought something was totally broken in me or in the process. But I wanted the home to sell, but instead of that, God sent two angels. He sent my high priest group leader who said, his name's Todd Moon, who said, Tyler, my parents, Kay and Mava Moon, live down in Orem. I've told them about your situation, and they want you to be able to live in their basement during the week, and then you can come back home to Cache Valley on the weekend, so that you can begin teaching down at BYU. The answer came from the Lord, but not in a sold home when I wanted it. The answer came through angels, Kay and Mava Moon, and their son Todd, who opened this door for me. And then it was months later in December when the home finally sold. I will just say this. I learned some things not only about God in those months that the home wasn't selling and I thought it should have, but I learned some things about me, and I learned some things about my wife and about my children. And God stretched all of us, and He used that opportunity to strengthen our whole family. I think the same thing's happening with Enos here. He's not getting a quick, easy answer. It's hard fought. It's wrestled, like Jacob, all night long with the Lord. It's wrestled so that when it finally does come, oh, how sweet it is to him, and he'll never forget it. Just like I'll never forget that experience because of what I learned about God and His goodness back in 2010. So, another Elder Maxwell concept for you. He said on another occasion, regarding matters of timing, he said, it's usually easier to say, Lord, thy will be done, than it is to say, Lord, thy timing be done. And if you consider it, he said, how ironic is it that you and I who wear wristwatches try to counsel he who governs cosmic clocks on matters of timing. So there's a beautiful principle here to trust him more. Trust that he knows what he's doing, and he knows how to stretch us and give us the experiences we need to grow and become who we need to become. He is far more interested in your eternal capacities to grow and your potentials than he is in your current state of ease and comfort. Notice the response that came, verse 5. There came a voice unto me saying, Enos, thy sins are forgiven thee, and thou shalt be blessed. Often, by the way, we'll read that and we'll think, oh, so Enos isn't terribly unlike Nephi before him and Jacob, getting these heavenly manifestations, because now he's getting this heavenly voice coming down to him, Enos, thy sins are forgiven thee, and thou shalt be blessed. If you want to look carefully at verse 10, it says, while I was thus struggling in the Spirit, behold, the voice of the Lord came into my mind again. You could connect maybe the word voice in 10 with the word voice in 5. I'm not sure that it was an audible voice from heaven in verse 5. I think when he says it came into my mind again implies that you and I can relate an awful lot to Enos. That sometimes Elder Bednar has made a big deal of this recently, that sometimes we seek these huge revelations. We want to see the angels, and we want to have the heavens opened and be showered with these big, profound visions. When in reality, if you're doing the best you can to keep the covenants you've made, there's a promise given to you every week that you will always have His Spirit to be with you. As long as you're doing those three things, the best, you're striving to do the best you can with those three things in the sacrament prayer over the bread. You'll always have His Spirit to be with you. The voice of the Lord will come into your mind constantly, to the point where you won't even recognize that it's revelation, because you'll just think it's just you thinking. It's kind of like air. How many times today have you stopped and thought to yourself, wow, I am so grateful for oxygen and air? You probably haven't done that very much. But the reality is you're immersed in it. It's constantly around you, and you don't think about it. It's probably, for many of you, like revelation, where the Lord is guiding you. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't times where you're seeking big things like Enos was here. But sometimes we look beyond the mark without realizing that God is guiding us every step of the way.